A man walked away from his home and was never seen again. His name was Granger Taylor. He lived on a farm in British Columbia, Canada. He was 32 years old when he vanished. The date was November 29, 1980. This was not a simple case of a person getting lost. Granger left behind a note. The note explained where he believed he was going. He wrote that he was leaving on a journey aboard an alien spaceship. He said he would be gone for 42 months. He was a man of considerable talent. He was known for his gentle nature and his extraordinary skill with machines. What happened to Granger Taylor is a mystery that has endured for decades. It is a story that sits uncomfortably between the known world and the unknown. Did he truly make contact with extraterrestrial intelligence? Or did a brilliant but troubled mind lead him to a tragic earthly end? The facts of the case are few but compelling. They paint a picture of a unique individual who spent his final months consumed by a singular, fantastic idea. He built a craft in his parents' backyard. He studied the stars. He waited for a sign. Then, one stormy night, he disappeared into the Canadian wilderness, leaving a void that has never been filled. We must look at this story with an open and steady mind. It is easy to dismiss it as delusion or fantasy. It is also tempting to embrace the more extraordinary possibilities without question. The truth, whatever it may be, deserves careful consideration. We will examine the life of Granger Taylor. We will look at the strange object he constructed. We will review the evidence. We will review the lack thereof that was left behind. The account is pieced together from family memories, police reports, and the stories of those who knew him best. It is a quiet story, but one that asks very loud questions about the nature of reality and our place within the cosmos. The case of Granger Taylor is not just a local legend from Vancouver Island. It has become a part of the larger conversation about unidentified aerial phenomena and the possibility of contact. It touches upon themes of belief, isolation, and the limits of human understanding. As we explore the details of his last days, we are not just telling the story of one man. We are exploring the very edge of what we think is possible. Granger Taylor was not an ordinary young man. He was born in 1948. He grew up on his family's property near Duncan, a small town on Vancouver Island. From a very young age, he showed a remarkable aptitude for mechanics. He dropped out after 8th grade. He felt formal education had nothing left to teach him. His real classroom was the workshop. He could take apart any engine. He could understand an engine's inner workings. He could put it back together perfectly. He was a self-taught genius, a prodigy of nuts and bolts. If something was broken, Granger could fix it. His accomplishments became local legend. As a teenager, he restored a one-cylinder car. He drove it around town, but he didn't stop. He improved it. Later, he found a rusted steam locomotive abandoned in the woods. Over years, he painstakingly restored it to working order. He even laid his own tracks. The restored locomotive gleamed on a short section of track. It was an immense undertaking, thousands of hours of labor. It required deep, complex engineering knowledge. The locomotive became a local attraction. He seemed to have an intuitive connection with machines. Friends and family called him quiet. They called him gentle. They called him a little eccentric. He wasn't socially awkward. He was happiest working on projects. He spent countless hours alone, lost in the world of gears, pistons, circuits. He was a problem solver. He obsessed until he found solutions. That ability to think outside convention was his greatest strength. He didn't just read about things, he built them. His fascination shifted from steam engines to vintage cars, and then to the technology of space travel. The last year of his life was spent on his most ambitious project, a machine he believed could bridge our world and another, a physical manifestation of his ultimate curiosity. It was quite something. In the year leading up to his disappearance, Granger Taylor embarked on his most unusual project. He began constructing a life-sized replica of a classic flying saucer in his parents' yard. This was not a flimsy model made of cardboard and foil. True to his nature, Granger built it with meticulous care and engineering skill. He acquired 2 large satellite dishes and joined them together, clamshell style, to form the iconic disc shape. The final structure was large enough for a person to comfortably sit inside. He furnished the interior with a television, a couch, and a wood-burning stove. It was part shelter, part laboratory, and part shrine. He told his friends and family that he was trying to understand how UFOs worked. He claimed he was in regular telepathic communication with an extraterrestrial intelligence. According to Granger, these beings were sharing technical information with him. He spent countless hours inside his homemade craft, studying, meditating, and waiting for further contact. He believed the principles of their propulsion system were based on magnetism and gravity. His workshop was filled with books on physics and engineering, alongside those on UFOs and psychic phenomena. The construction of the craft was a public, yet private affair. His best friend, Robert Keller, spent time with him inside the structure. Granger would explain his theories about interstellar travel with complete sincerity. To his friends, it seemed like an elaborate and imaginative game. On the morning of November 29, 1980, Granger Taylor's parents found that he was not in his room. This was not immediately alarming, as he often slept in the saucer-shaped structure he had built. His father, however, soon discovered a note left on the kitchen table. The note was written in Granger's hand. It was calm, clear, and utterly extraordinary. It was not a suicide note. It was a farewell message, explaining his departure in the most fantastic terms. The note was addressed to his parents, expressing his love for them, but stating that he had to leave. He wrote, "Dear Mother and Father, I have gone away. To walk aboard an alien spaceship, as recurring dreams have told me I've been invited. I am leaving behind all my possessions to you, as I will no longer require any of them." This single, stunning declaration formed the core of the mystery. He was not running away from a problem. He was running towards an incredible adventure. The note provided a specific timeline for his return. He continued, saying his journey would be an interstellar voyage and that he would be exploring the vast universe. He wrote that he would be gone for approximately 42 months. Why 42 months? To Granger, it must have had some significance, perhaps given to him in the dreams he mentioned. The note ended with a hand-drawn map. The map showed the location of his last will and testament, hidden on the back of another map on the property. This was the act of a man methodically closing out his earthly affairs. The discovery of this note transformed the case into something far more bizarre. His parents were distraught and confused. The handwriting was neat, the language direct. It read like a travel itinerary for another galaxy. The note was given to the police, where it became the central piece of evidence. That single sheet really changed everything. The night of Granger Taylor's disappearance, November 28, 1980, was not a calm one. A powerful storm swept across Vancouver Island. It was the kind of night that drove people indoors and erased any tracks left outside. Section 7. The search begins. When Granger Taylor's parents found the note, they immediately contacted the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and the police were faced with a unique and baffling situation. They had a missing person, a missing truck, and a note claiming the person had left with aliens. Initially skeptical, they treated the disappearance seriously. They launched a search of the area around the Taylor property. They explored the dense woods and the slopes of nearby Mount Prevost. The recent storm made the search incredibly difficult. Any tracks were washed away. The public reaction was a mix of concern, fascination, and disbelief. The local newspapers picked up the story. It was a compelling human interest piece with a sensational twist. Friends and neighbors reconsidered his project. Hobby or something more? The search continued for weeks, then months, with no results. The RCMP investigated every lead and checked with friends and relatives. They monitored his bank accounts, which remained untouched. He took nothing but his truck. His world remained behind. Years passed. The 42 months came and went. The case remained open but inactive. Section 8. Earthly explanations. We must first consider the most plausible earthly explanations. The police believe the most likely scenario is a tragic accident or a deliberate act of self-harm. Granger had a permit to handle dynamite for stump removal. He may have been experimenting with explosives. An accident could have occurred. He could have taken his truck deep into the woods, a mishap obliterating man and machine. Another possibility, he decided to disappear and start anew. He could have sold the truck for cash and vanished into a larger city. Yet he made no financial preparations and left his prized possessions. A somber theory holds he took his own life, perhaps in a place that hides forever. In March 1986, a significant clue emerged. Fragments of metal and plastic were identified as belonging to his pink Datsun. The site supports an explosion theory, but no body was found. Did he intentionally blow up his truck and himself? Or was it a terrible accident? The blast provided a location, not an answer. Section 9. An otherworldly departure? Did he actually leave on an alien spaceship? This idea is the most difficult to prove. There is no physical evidence to support it. No one reported a UFO on the night of the storm. No radar records. No official documents. All we have is the word of the man himself, written in his farewell note, spoken to his closest friend. To believe this theory is to take a leap of faith. He was not a fabricator of tales, nor a seeker of attention. He applied scientific principles to his work. He approached alleged contact with the same methodical focus. He spent a year building, studying, preparing. His belief was sincere and unwavering. To some, he was a contactee telling the literal truth. For others, the blast site complicates, but does not end, the story. Some suggest the explosion disposed only of his earthly vehicle. Perhaps he met the craft there, destroying the truck before departure. It is speculation, an attempt to reconcile fragments and a fantastic claim. A narrative of a man severing ties with this world. Ultimately, the theory rests entirely on belief. It requires accepting that UFOs are real, piloted by intelligent beings, and that they took an interest in a self-taught mechanic from Vancouver Island. There is no science to support it, only a strange story and conviction. Its power lies not in evidence, but in wonder. It is the story Granger wanted us to believe. Section 10. An unanswered question. Decades later, the file remains open, but cold. The fragments of his truck are the last physical traces. No body was ever recovered. No further communications appeared. His parents passed on, carrying the deepest grief. We are left with two paths, a tragic end on a mountainside, or a journey to the stars. Law enforcement favors the terrestrial, anchored by the blast site. Yet his sincerity, genius, and dedication entice us toward wonder.